Welcome to the LCB podcast. We're the podcast for health professionals and the wider community. Look to explore diversities in health, ask some hard questions, and have some honest conversations. My name is Archie. I'm an EP based in cities on the beaches. And joining me, as always, is Perth-based allied health business owner, Andrew. Andrew, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm very, very well. We have a beer that we would like to crack.
We do.
What beer are you cracking?
I have a Running with Thieves, which is I might have had this one before, actually, but Perth-based brewery.
Perth-based brewery.
Yes.
How appropriate.
Yes.
I am having a Hop Nation Footscray draft. Footscray's in Melbourne, so I'm going to assume that it is a Melbourne beer. Yep, Melbourne-based, independent, specialising in quality small batch beers. So this is just a draft beer, so an easy drinking 4.2%er.
Oh,
And,
lovely for a Monday.
and I've got it in my Honest EP.
Oh, I left mine. Oh, yeah. Rookie
Well, it's
error.
too late now. You're in the podcast studio. You can't leave it.
Next time. I'll remember next time.
Oh, that's delicious. Oh my goodness. Oh my God. Well, today we are talking about communication skills, specifically verbal communication skills as a clinician and their importance in what you do. And the communication training that we have done as a team, you actually introduced it to us for the first time quite a few years ago. And the stuff that we've done a lot of work with is a guy named Vinh Giang. How did you come across Vinh Giang initially? Was it through someone else, or did you come across him yourself?
No, one of my mentors had done some of Vin's courses, his in-person courses, and I heard about Vin in the middle of the COVID times and
Okay.
had a little bit more time up our sleeves in the COVID times, and so used that to do the first of his courses online, which was really, really good.
You did it. You've
did
done the
it.
course. Wow.
I've done one
There
of
you
his
go.
courses. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. And review the course for us. Was it good?
It's
This is not
exceptionally
selling this
good.
episode.
It's
Okay.
exceptionally good. You are out of your comfort zone for, I think it was a 3 or 4 day course.
Oh,
Um,
live. Okay.
Yeah, live. Maybe 10, 15% of it was content, and the rest was just like practical. So, Vin is producing these courses not just from an allied health perspective. So there are all sorts of people coming in, but it is about improving your communication skills, either in presenting to large groups or to one-on-one situations. And so the courses themselves are, well, here's some theory. Now let's go and practice it for a period of time. So they are excellent courses. I would highly recommend them.
Wow.
They are very
So
practical.
going from you as a communicator before the course to you as a communicator after, what was different? What
I think
changed?
confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence. Like, I feel like, as allied health professionals, we know stuff, right? We are generally pretty good on the knowledge side of things. It's more, how does that message get accepted by the person that we are trying to communicate it to? And I think a lot of that, or part of that at least, is about your confidence in your own communication style, knowing when you are, I suppose, drifting, like when you are nervous or anxious or whatever, like what are the idiosyncrasies that you do? And through Viv's courses, you learn to identify these things and then to put strategies in place to make your communication more deliberate. So it's, yeah,
So
very good.
confidence.
Confidence.
Mm.
Confidence, but also just like, maybe this is secondary to confidence, but like confidence in the way that you present, but then confidence in not feeling like you need to fill the space. Like, I know a lot of people just, they are not so enjoyable with the awkward silence kind of times. And so they just fill the space of with words and noises and things. And confidence for me looked like feeling okay in those situations, not feeling like you need to continually fill empty spaces.
Wow, that's very interesting. To get sidetracked early, which I love doing, that you do notice that nervous communicators often overtalk and don't allow any silences, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And I think that's from, like, we're talking to allied health professionals. So when you are communicating to a patient or communicating to another member of your team, you're not allowing them the time to digest what you're saying, because you just keep at them and you're moving on to the next point, or you're circling the point, or you're saying the point 3 or 4 times, because your brain is just going a million miles an hour and your mouth is trying to keep up, and you haven't actually thought about what is the best way. What am I actually trying to communicate to this person?
Nice. So I thought we'd ask a hypothetical question for people, and I'll ask you as well, but I know that you know the answer. But I'd like people to think about, and I'm going to use example of clinical skills rated out of 10, but you could use whatever it is that your profession is, or whatever it is that you would like to use. And the question is, if your clinical skills are a 10 out of 10, you're the best clinician in the world, you have the best skills, and your communication skills are a 2 out of 10, do people perceive you as a 10 out of 10 clinician or a 2 out of 10 clinician?
My answer to that is 2. Doesn't matter how, this is the Maya Angelou saying, I think, nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. And so much of caring comes through the way that you communicate, or perceived communication. So,
yeah, it's not really fair. It's not a fair thing to go, but that's not fair. I'm a great clinician. I know all of the research. I have the best techniques. I am the smartest person in this particular area, but my communication skills suck. But that's not fair that I'm then perceived as a shit clinician. It's like, you're right. Maybe it's not fair, but is it the truth? Probably. And the reason it's the truth is, how are you showing people or providing your knowledge and expertise to people? And the answer is through communication. The answer in most situations is verbally and physically. Now, today we want to focus specifically on verbally, because we are a verbal audio podcast most of the time, other than our wonderful reels that are going out on a very voluminous basis at the moment. But there are also physical parts of communication, and that's body language, that is grandeur, that is how you are coming across, that is what you do with your hands, what you do with your body, how you own a stage, or how you match and mirror someone's body language in a one-on-one situation. So physical stuff is a very big part of this, but we thought it would be easier for us to talk more about verbally today. So this is something that we covered with our EP team at our EP day towards the end of last year. And we watched a bunch of Vinh Giang stuff. Now, there's a really good YouTube video that he did during COVID, when people were just pumping out free seminars and really long ones. And we watched bits and pieces of this. And I'll put the link in the description for people to watch it, because if communication is something that you would like to get better at, and knowing that it is very, very important, it is as important as your clinical skills or whatever your job skills are, because communication skills are really your ceiling. Like, if you're unable to talk effectively and listen and communicate effectively, then your skills are for nothing. And it sucks that that's true. But to be honest, it's true. And I'm sure that we can think of many examples where we've experienced this. If everyone goes back to uni or a recent CPD course that they've done, or even a podcast they listened to, and gone, oh, that was boring. I don't think I learnt anything. I wasn't very engaged. And the content was dry and I hated every minute of it. When you break that down and you know some foundations of verbal communication, often you can bring that back to how that person is delivering that content. And that has a huge bearing on if it's boring or not. Because even the most boring bit of content delivered really well can be interesting. And I think a great example of that is Instagram and TikTok, that we will scroll and absorb random shit bits of information all day if someone is engaging enough. And then I'll have all of these fucking facts that I've gotten from doom scrolling that none of it's helpful, but
it was entertaining.
I know all of them. Yeah, it was entertaining and it engaged me and it caught my attention quickly. And that's the reason that I watched it. The content sucked. That's because of their communication skills. So we want to take people through examples of parts of communication that are good to work on and break down to what Vinh Giang talks about as the 5 vocal foundations. So these are his, these are not ours. We are also not claiming to be experts in communication. We run an amateur podcast and we work at a small allied health clinic where our job is not to present. However, we have spent a lot of time practicing this stuff and we are both on our own journey of improving our communication, which is one of the reasons that we do the podcast. Andrew even said he was going to, one of the original reasons was we wanted to become better communicators and educators. And so here we are. So we have been through these and we know that they are really helpful. And I would like to think that our communication over the course of the last 4 years has improved as well.
One day I will listen to one of our original podcasts.
One day. Or one of the originals.
One of the originals.
Oh, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So we'll go through each of these 5 vocal foundations and then we'll give examples of things along the way as well. And Andrew, when particular anecdotes and things pop up for you, please do tell wonderful stories. So the first vocal foundation is rate of speech. Now, very simply, that is about how fast or slow you are speaking when you talk. Now, the point of rate is not that there is one perfect rate of speech. The point of rate of speech is that you need to vary your rate. You need to talk fast at some points, and then when something's really important, you need to slow down what you're saying. That's the point of it. And you'll notice, like we're talking about with nervous communicators, that nervous communicators are talking at what rate?
Fast. Constantly.
Real fucking fast. Constantly, right? It's ridiculous. But they're not normally boring people. They're nervous. And then boring people talk what? Really fucking slow.
Really fucking slow.
Yeah. So none of those are the correct pace to speak. But none of them are wrong either. It's just that you need to be varying your pace back and forth. Now, I would probably say that a lot of young, inexperienced clinicians are probably tending on the faster rather than the slower end of speech as their default.
Why do you think that happens?
I think it comes down to a point that you said before, which is a lack of confidence and it's nervousness of the message. And this comes down to things that we could talk about in terms of initial consultations as well, that people try and over-educate and over-communicate to clients to try and provide as much possible value as they can do. But as a result, they never finish a point. They talk too fast. And it comes across nervous and confused. which is not ideal. Andrew, we were at the Clinic Mastery Conference last week, and there are some really good communicators up there. Uh, None of them talked really fast. Do you notice that?
Well, they're trained for it. They're practiced. And I think this is probably another key component of understanding rate of speech is that, when you go and present to 350 people in a room, you're not making it up off the cuff, right? You have practiced it a lot. You are aware of the bits of your presentation where there is a little bit more dense content, so you move through that a little bit faster. But you know that, when you're presenting for 10 minutes, that there are one or two key points that you're going to make. And so when you arrive at the key point making time, that then you slow down so that people have time to digest what it is that you're saying. So nervousness in that context is about rehearsing, practicing, knowing what point you're trying to make and when you're trying to make it. And the bits that go around that, you can use all of these other communication foundations to try and keep people engaged through that time, but also move through that content at a quicker pace than the actual point that you're trying to make.
Yeah.
I
So
think also
faster through that.
Sorry to cut you off, but I think the other point to that is that, which is probably an overarching thing when it comes to communication / public speaking, is that you can, similarly to your analogy at the start, of feeling like you've done all of the courses, therefore you feel like you are a great clinician, but none of that matters until you get into a room and you start talking to a human. You can do all of the communication courses you want to do, but until you get on stage and actually speak to 300 people, you don't know what that feels like. You don't know how you're going to respond in that situation. And so, to your point, like a lot of those people that did present have done it before. And so being on that stage in front of that many people is not new. They know how their body is going to respond. They know when they get nervous, what are they going to do with their hands? What are they going to do with their face? So they can sort of course correct themselves.
Absolutely. Now, you've done quite a few presentations now at this point, and to varying degrees of people. Do you remember what your presentations were like early on when you first had to be in front of 50 people compared to now?
Very, very quick. Very fast.
Really?
Talking.
Interesting.
And over-rehearsed. Over-rehearsed. So practiced it too many times where it got to the point where it's kind of running on autopilot, but anxious autopilot. So I knew the words that I was going to say, but because I was anxious, I moved through them really quickly. And the key points that I was trying to make were just brushed over really quickly.
Yeah. That's very interesting, isn't it? Because I can imagine if you've got a script in your head, your rate of speech is probably going to be the same all the way through. So you're going to pick a default rate based on how you're feeling, how nervous, how confident you are. And then you're just going to stay at that the entire time. And then you'll get to the end of a sentence where you're probably supposed to provide some emphasis. And then you'll have to pause and wait to work out, like, what was next? I got through that point really quickly. Or you'll skip the emphasis and go straight through and provide no chance for anyone to digest what you're saying.
Correct. Yeah.
And then now, what's changed?
Well, I still over-rehearse.
Really?
Because that makes me manage my anxiety of it. But it's not... There are like bullet points for each slide that I'm trying to knock off, but the interweaving sentences are sort of not made up, but they're not pre-rehearsed to the nth degree before. So that for me, like that keeps me in the moment. It stops me from going on autopilot. But I know exactly, like when I'm talking to a slide, what are the 2 or 3 points that I need to get through before I move to the next one.
Gotcha.
I know the bits that where I'm trying to make a point, and like you said before, you slow down at those points. So you know the points where you're going to go fast and the points you're going to slow down.
I guess it's the same way that we would do it if we're in front of a client as well. That if there's some stuff that you need to get through quickly, you speed through it quickly. But then when you're getting to the really important things you want this person to remember from your consult, slow down, slow right down, and even repeat the thing that you are wanting them to remember. It's something I noticed about good communicators, and I've noticed that more recently, is that they will repeat the thing they want you to remember. They will repeat the thing that they want you to remember. And initially it sounds like an OCD thing, like, oh, I didn't say it properly, let me stutter and say it again. But it's not, it's emphasis. It's slowed down emphasis times 2. And it works really well.
It does. Absolutely.
All right. So, second vocal foundation is volume. And very easily, it could be rated out of 10. 10 being really fucking loud, 1 being really fucking quiet. Now with volume, you could treat it very similarly to rate in terms of varying your volume is good. However, you do want to have, for good, confident presentation, a natural default volume of about 5 to 6 out of 10. That's what Vinh suggests, and I will take Vinh as the expert in this area. But 5 to 6 out of 10 for volume is a good default rate to show confidence, belief, charisma when you're speaking. Now, there are times when it might make sense to be louder than that, and then there are times when it might make sense to be quiet in that. So, as an EP, personally, I am definitely louder than that if I'm talking to a group of people. I will bring that volume up if I'm talking to a group class. But if I'm talking to a little old lady and I'm kneeling down right in front of her, I do not want to be speaking at a 5 to 6 out of 10 because I'm going to blow her bloody eardrums out and I'm going to scare her away. No good.
No
I'm
good.
going to bring that down, and I'm going to use some of my other foundations as well. I'm probably going to slow my speech down, and I'm going to talk a little bit quieter as well, if that is appropriate for the person in front of me. Now, if you have amplification, say you're doing a presentation or something, make sure that you are talking at the right volume into that. Now, a very easy way to do that is to check either beforehand, check the volume, or check at the start of your speech. Very easy way. People at the back, can you hear me? And if you get no's or shakes of the heads or no hands, then you know they can't hear you. And then you need to either bring the mic closer to your face, or you need the AV people to turn it up, do something about it. But don't just launch into a whole presentation not knowing if people can actually hear you or not. And don't rely on people to butt in and say they can't hear you. Because if people can't hear you, they'll just assume that it's not important. You can't rely on them to do it for you. To be honest, I don't know how much there is to talk about volume other than maybe do a self-assessment of how loud you are. How would you do that, though? How do you think you do a self-assessment?
I think that might be asking some people around you for some feedback on.
Wow.
Refer to our previous conversation.
Refer to previous. Ask someone who you trust and is going to give you honest feedback.
Yeah. Because it's difficult to gauge that yourself, particularly if you have a set point and you just feel like you're talking to that set point each time. it's hard to self-assess that. Might be a ask a friend.
Yeah. What do you reckon you would ask a friend? How loud am I?
Well, I'm trying to improve my communication skills, and I'm worried
Mm.
sometimes that I can be a little bit too loud.
Blah.
Uh, when I'm talking to you now, do you feel like this is okay? Or would you like, should I be softer or louder?
Hmm. Hmm. I wonder if it would, I like how you started that in terms of I'm trying to work on my communication skills. One of them is volume. A way we measure it is volume out of 10, 10 being really bloody loud, 1 being really quiet. Where do you feel like my default volume is?
I like that.
And then we're not like giving them a leading question either.
Mm,
Because once again, I feel like if I asked someone who I trust, and I trust that they give me honest feedback, but if I ask them, do you feel like I'm too loud? They're, the easiest thing to say is, no, 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 not at all.
mm,
But if I go, it's like, where do you think my default volume is? And not even tell them where correct is.
mm.
Just tell them what like really quiet's 1 out of 10 and really loud is 10 out of 10. Where do you feel like my default is?
That's a good question. I like that.
Knowing that you want your default to be around a 5 to 6 out of 10. Andrew, I'm working my communication right now. Honest question, by the way.
Mm.
Where do you feel like my default volume is out of 10?
I'd say you're a 5 or a 6. I think you can. You're definitely not less than 4.
No.
You're not a quiet speaker.
Mm.
And I've heard you at an 8, and it's different to this. So
Mm.
I would
Mm.
it's more than 4 and less than 8.
Mm. Yeah. Well, that's good. More than 4, less than 8 feels like the right range.
There we go.
Very good. Lovely. All right. Are you ready for the next foundation? So, foundation number 3 is a more complicated one to learn and to be good at. And I am not convinced that many people are great at this or are very good at practicing it. I'm still not fully sure how to practice this one. But it's pitch and melody. And an easy way to describe pitch and melody with verbal communication is it's the song underneath your voice. It's the song underneath your voice. Now, the way that Vin it explains this in the video is he plays 3 piano pieces with no words at all. And one of them is very much in a major chord progression. One of them is in a very minor chord progression. And then one of them is almost like eerily scary, high pitched horror movie kind of thing. And when you listen to them, he then asks everyone, what emotions do you feel? Or what do you feel inside you when you hear these pieces? And when you hear the major one, you're going happiness, excitement, friendliness, these sorts of things. When you hear the minor one, you're hearing sad, scared, ominous, these sorts of things. And when you hear the horror movie one, you're thinking horror movie things like on edge,
Mm.
just not things that you want people to be feeling. And the point of that is that there are no words involved in that. There are no words involved in those pieces at all, but people are able to discern emotions just based off of the chords or the notes or the pitch that people are talking at or people playing piano at, but also the pitch that you are speaking at.
Mm.
And that's kind of scary to me. That's kind of scary, isn't it? That like people could infer sadness or eeriness just from the pitch that you are speaking at.
Well, it is. And as humans, how we communicate is verbally. It's not or it's primarily verbally. So it, to a degree, makes sense that we're so practiced in our verbal communication that we can, even without seeing the other person, understand what state they may be in by the way that they're talking without seeing their facial expressions or their body language or anything like that.
And the example that gets brought up is we all know those people that when they walk into a room and they start talking or engaging and they go, oh, love this person. They always light up a room when they come in. And what is it about that person's communication or their voice that makes the room light up and happy? And it's the melody and it's the pitch. So it's the song underneath this person's voice that's very uplifting and happy and engaging. And that's something that we should look to do. Now, how you do that? Oh, you probably have to listen to yourself speak, which is going to be one of the final lessons here, which is horrifying.
One of the original clinic mastery tips, I think, when we're talking about communicating over the phone, right, where you don't get to see the other person, is, when you're an owner and you're training your reception or your client care team to talk over the phone to people, you get them to talk with a smile on their face. Because there is a difference in the way that people talk when they have a smile on their face versus having a frown or a scowl or a generally unhappy mood on their face. And what you notice is that even if you were to do that for yourself, you would notice a difference in that melody, that the way that you speak when you are happy, it actually comes through in your communication, as opposed to when you are neutral, as opposed to when you are angry. And it's not like, part of that is pitch, part of that is tone, but part of that is just like what you're talking about here.
Absolutely. And that's a great example, because that is the fourth foundation, which is tonality. And it's the emotion that you speak with on your face. So that's the perfect example, because yes, when we talk with a smile on our face, the words actually come out different to if we talk with a frown on our face. It's very different, and it's very, very noticeable. Not that anyone is going to consciously frown when they're talking with a client, but if you have a default face, or you're not thinking about your face and what emotion you're portraying, because it doesn't come naturally to you to be happy in front of clients, it may come across as sad or angry or in disgust or surprised or fearful. These are all things that can come across, or angry. These are all things that can come across based on your facial expression, and it has an effect on the words that come out of your mouth. So yeah, practicing to smile when you talk over the phone is a very good one. Very, very good one. Andrew, what face have I been talking to you with today? Neutral?
I very rarely get neutral vibes from you.
Interesting. What vibes do you get?
Today, I'm getting...
What?
Inquisitive.
What vibes? What?
Inquisitive vibes.
I'm getting inquisitive vibes. Interesting. Maybe it's because I keep saying interesting.
Interesting.
I actually said that to a client this afternoon. He started doing a lunge. And it's the first time he'd done a lunge before. And he's like, I'm feeling it in my back thigh, as in the thigh that's sort of the knee that's going down to the ground. was like, interesting. And he's like, oh, why is that interesting? I was like, oh, well, no reason. No, but I just waited to the end of the set and then I talked to him about it. But I definitely gave an inquisitive face and then
what
asked
are
the
you
question.
talking about?
Yes. Anyway, the last vocal foundation is pause. It's just pause. However, I feel like there is more to this one. I like to include pause and filler words into this one here.
Mm.
And I think that this is the most controllable and changeable one for everyone immediately. Because everyone should know what their filler words are. Andrew, you don't do many now, but what were your filler words?
Like.
Really?
Say like. Yeah, like.
Oh.
Like. So annoying. I was also an like, and that took a lot of effort to get out of, but it was that, and for me, it was that like my brain was going fast and my mouth was going a little bit slower. And when my brain stopped, like, and my mouth kept going, it was like, and was just the default to like catch up
Absolutely.
those two things.
Yeah.
And replacing them with a pause makes you sound smarter.
Yes, it does. Straight up. That's an easy quote right there. Say it again, Andrew.
You're also giving people time to, like I said before, digest what it is that you're actually saying. Because if you've just made a point, you need to give people time to digest that point. And if you pause, not then to ask a question or anything, just to let them sit on that. And you're giving them time then, if they have a question, that they can ask it once it sits with them.
Nice. So many good reasons for a pause. It allows your brain to catch up with your words so that you can effectively start your next sentence. It allows a chance for people to ask a question, and you've left a gap for that so that it can be a two-way conversation. And it also allows people to digest what you're saying as well before you rattle into the next point. And you don't get that if you fill that gap with ums and ahs and likes, or a lack of anything, and your rate of speech is too fast and you just keep going into the next sentence. The actual clarity of your message and the emphasis of your message is going to be lost if you don't give people the time. Now, what was the process of you getting rid of your likes and ums and turn them into pauses?
Well, I had to do that thing that you will give people as homework at the end of today, which is to work out what it is for you, like what are the words for you, and then to substitute in a pause. And that feels really awkward when you start doing it. But, and to be honest, I think this is where some of these sort of games or improvisation tools, you just have to practice it, and you have to practice it live in order for that to knock yourself out of these patterns.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to practice. Like, you will never know really the effect of your likes and your ums and your ahs unless you record yourself, unless you have footage of yourself or you have a transcript of yourself speaking in front of people. Now, when you do it by yourself, it's so much easier. But when you're doing it when the pressure's on and you have to be talking to someone, it's a lot harder. it is a lot harder. Now, I know people who are really good at it when they are presenting in front of a client or on a presentation, but then as soon as they go back to having a casual conversation, all of the words come back in again. And I find that really interesting because why should our communication suddenly drop off a cliff when we're not presenting in front of a client? You know, no, like it to me, no point is it super appropriate for every third word that I say to be or are. Like that's not good in social situations either.
No.
You know, like it's okay to add in some colloquialisms and those sorts of things and breathe that back into your language. But if every second or third word you're saying is a non-word or a filler word, that's 25% of all the words you're saying. That's bullshit. That's just straight bullshit. And so communicating is just gonna fucking suck. And that sucks.
It super sucks. Sucks big time. Yeah. And I think what you're leaning into now are what Vin would call vocal archetypes, where you have those 5 foundations, but depending on the context, you apply them in different ways. So we are having this conversation today. It is a friendly, like there is no waiting on this conversation. We're just sort of having a chat. So if we swear, it doesn't really matter. If we say it's like it doesn't really matter because it's like, you know, we're just. But to your point, if every third word I said was then you'd be like, what the fuck's this guy? Like, why is he not thinking that way? And so there are situations where if you drop an and you're in this like this sort of friendship sort of conversation, it's like, who gives a shit? It's just
sounds like normal speak. Yeah.
But if I am a university lecturer in front of a room full of people and I am talking about the thing that I spent the last 5 years researching, and I am trying to deliver a very scientific point, I should not be saying because in that context looks very unprofessional, very you have not prepared, you don't know what you're talking about, you're trying to stall. And so the different ways in which you apply the vocal foundations, depending on the context that you're in, you can be more lenient or less lenient, depending on the type of communication that you are having in that moment.
Absolutely. We're not saying that you should have 0 filler words in your everyday speech all the time. But be aware that if you are trying to get a message across, that they are not assisting the message you are getting across.
Certainly not in that patient-practitioner interaction. Lots of in a patient-practitioner interaction means that the person thinks you don't know what you're talking about.
It comes across as uncertainty and not confident and a bit nervous and unsure about where you're going to go next. Pausing and being quiet and thinking actually comes across quite smart if it's done in the right places in those situations. That's okay. That's good. Now, the main thing that I'd like people to focus on or try after this is you need to hear how you speak. You need to hear yourself speak. So, ways that you can listen to yourself speak is record yourself speaking about a topic. Pick a topic. Maybe it's a clinical topic and you want to provide a bit of education on it, and record yourself speaking. That's option number 1. Option number 2, do a presentation for a team, either in person or over Zoom, and record it and then listen back to that recording. That is a very good option. Andrew, do you have other options of ways that people can practice or listen to themselves speak?
I think you can start adding complexity after this.
Yeah.
So I even think we did this back in the day, where it's almost like a Toastmasters exercise where you tell somebody, okay, you're going to speak for 30 seconds on
Yeah.
a glasses case or the color blue or your mum. Like, and you don't have the ability to prepare. And so in those in those examples that you gave before, you can be quite rehearsed, right? You can practice, you know what you're going to say, you got the slides, you got the cues, etc. But in these very impromptu situations, you are making it up as you go. Like, talk about microphones. And in those situations where there is more uncertainty, these things come out more.
Yeah.
Because you don't know where you're going to go to next, which is often one of the biggest fears when it comes to public speaking. It's like, if I lose my spot and I forget where I'm going to go to next, what happens? And I freak out and I do nothing. And these exercises help you, they prepare you for that scenario. So if I asked you to speak about glasses cases for the next 60 seconds, you have to make it up as you go along, and you figure out very quickly what these little idiosyncrasies are.
Yep.
Which, if you are wanting to go the extra mile, like, you could find a Toastmasters or a communication school that will help you do these things. But in those situations, they rise to the surface pretty quickly.
You just need to be more conscious of your communication. Now, we're so conscious of the other skills that are involved in our jobs and our life. Like my clinical skills, I've done countless CPD courses learning more about different conditions and treatments and rehabilitation protocols and areas of research about persistent pain, yada, yada, yada. But it wasn't until this year that I actually invested money into a communication course. But I've spent thousands of dollars on CPD courses over the last 7 years. So why is there such a disconnect there when this skill is probably our ceiling? It's probably the ceiling for us as a professional in a job where our job is to talk. So if you are in a job or a role, socially, in sport, in work, where you have to talk, or your skill or your value is in what you say and tell people and communicate to people, you should be investing time and money into your communication skills. Straight up. Now, I'll link the video. Only good things happen. Yeah, and you're going to feel horrible because you have to start recording yourself and you go, ooh, I hate listening to my voice. You know what I tell people when they go, oh, I hate listening to my voice. That's not what I sound like. You know what I tell them?
What?
That is what you sound like. It's literally what you sound like to everybody else. Now, in your head, because you're hearing yourself through vibrations in your skull, your voice sounds different to you. But to everyone else, that's exactly what you sound like. So if you don't like it, either get used to it or change it. Those are your choices.
The latter is much harder.
Yeah. You can't bury your head in the sand and go, no, it's not what I sound like. It is exactly what you sound like. So if you don't like it, fucking do something about it.
Yeah.
And if you choose to not do something about it, well, then you are choosing to put a ceiling on your development, your profession, your skills.
Yeah.
Very good. Rant over.
Love it. Good rant.
How's your beer?
It's delightful. Delightful. Yours?
Yeah. Also delightful.
Oh,
Going down very easily.
yeah. I feel a little bit guilty because I'm on WA time. So my 3:30 beer feels a little bit guilty versus a 7:30 beer. Much more sensible.
I heard that that's just standard in Perth, though. Just 3:30 beers on a Monday is just what
yes.
everyone does, isn't it?
Apparently it is.
If you're from Perth and you disagree,
Tell Archie.
tell me about it. I've got it on good authority that people in Perth just drink all the time. Oh, dear. And I won't hear another word about it.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go. Any last thoughts, Andrew?
Vinh Giang. Vinh Giang is the guru on this stuff. Just at least follow him on social media. Like, he produces so much valuable content on his Instagram and on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
VinHgiang. I'm sure he has courses. We should get some sort of fucking promo code or something because we just talked about him for the last hour.
Yeah.
But he's great at this. So highly recommend.
He is. He is probably the most we in our job will ever need as communication coach. Short of wanting to become a presenter for hundreds and thousands of people, you could probably get away with watching his YouTube videos and doing his online courses and then practicing.
Yeah.
That would probably be enough to get you a pretty long way.
I believe that to be true.
There you go. All right. Beautiful. Well, we better leave the podcast there.
Okay.
See you later.
Goodbye.